Good morning, my loves. Happy Solstice Saturday. I thought I'd save my update for this perfect window of energy. And I am sat down in the woods. I believe the actual peak of the solstice occurred in the small hours of the morning, or 3:41 in the United Kingdom. So you might be receiving this a little bit later on if you're out celebrating, watching the sunrise wherever you are in the world, whether it's doing it later because you're in the southern hemisphere and it's the winter, or you're in the north and it's the bright long day. But what a ride we've had up to this date, to this point in time. It's not wasted on me in the slightest how fast this year has moved, and the amount of work that we've done, and how much things have changed in the process. And I was speaking on several occasions over the course of this week at the beautiful retreat that I co-hosted with Kelly Vikings at St Nectan's Glen about how different the ascension pathway is to the expectations that we have and or have had. Now, years ago, when I first started realizing there was going to be an ascension process and that I was an active part of it, I had a very kind of almost misty, gold tinted view of how it was all going to pan out. When the Atlantean community gold print was first mentioned, when the navel chakra began to become active, and this is even before 2012, I was casting my mind into the future, trying to imagine what a fifth dimensional community would look like, how it would feel, how we would structure it. And my mind would take me back to my limited memories of Atlantis, where the villages were kind of clustered together at the foot of beautiful mountains by flowing water, with bright green pastures as far as the eye could see, with little round white houses and the occasional looming pyramid of the temples. There's so many temples back in those days, kind of rising into the sky. And that's the last time that I can truly remember that community, that dedication to what we were creating. And of course we're doing it again now, but things are very different. This ascension process isn't limited to a controlled experiment, technically under a dome in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It's worldwide, every single country in this world, each with its unique soul coding, geographical locations, things that separate us on a visual level, like the borders, ethnicity, all belief systems, religion, all of these other things. They're simply surface level things that have actually successfully managed to kind of divide and define countries over the course of the last 2, 3, 4, 5,000 years. And now all of a sudden there is this blurring of the lines as everybody begins to come together energetically. And it's happening so differently to the way that I imagined it. I couldn't even conceive in those days how we were going to change a system that is clearly designed to entrap and to harvest energy and to keep people limited. How are we going to do that? And over the course of the last 5-10 years or so, it's become evident that you don't attack what you don't want from the outside. You don't smash like a wave, crash against the sea wall, hoping that the sea wall will eventually dissolve. You become the inner workings of that wall, say the cement that holds it together, and you change your composition. So the actual alchemy, the internal structure begins to go through a process of metamorphosis, which is exactly what's happening around the world. If you look at the bigger structures, the ones that have existed since we were born and long before that, the political system, the financial, the education, the medical, we're beginning to see evidence of massive change, and a lot of this is being instigated by the incredible light that's coming into this planet, but the most important factor, the ingredient that matters more than anything else within this, are beings within the system who are waking up. And this is one of my favourite subjects to talk about whenever I am usually at live events. I've had so many people come up to me over the years who are an integral part of this system, people that have worked maybe say for the government, for the police system, usually the most popular is like kind of local council positions, or teachers, or healthcare professionals, all of these beings that were initially in a system, and they joined for whatever reasons, and then all of a sudden, bang, they wake up, and it's like, wow, look at where I am, look at what I've been contributing to, look at the energies that are around me, look at the other people, look what we do on a grand scale. And all of a sudden, like the alchemy, as soon as you get that happen, as soon as you get one person in the middle of a collection of others, you have a process of alchemy that begins to occur. It's not an easy process of alchemy, it's a tricky one. It's one that can make the soul who has adopted that responsibility feel very isolated, very alone, very oppressed, and often in many cases desperate to get out. It's like, well, I need to be out of here. This is not my vibe. This is not my tribe. I need to be around people that I need to be around. And having been asked by these beautiful souls, where do I go? What do I do? So my guidance is that you are exactly where you are supposed to be. You are providing that alchemy within the middle of a system that is so highly necessary. So if you're listening to this, and this might be you. You might be one of these beautiful beings that have had this role in the past and have woken up, and all of a sudden here you are. Here you are, holding your mighty I Am presence and your light in the middle of the system, while the system begins to change. And of course we can look forward to the next 6 months as we move from this period. We go through the Lion's Gate, we go through the September equinox, and eventually to the December solstice. What do the next 6 months hold for us? And this is usually a question that I've got a modicum of an idea about what it could be, but I don't at the moment. Everything this year so far has been subject to almost a need to know basis. We're presented with an energy, we're presented with a scenario, we have an idea in our mind's eye because of the way things have worked previously, how that is going to roll out. But things have happened differently. Things have happened differently this year. A lot more responsibility has been placed upon the shoulders of light workers, that much is evident. The Intergalactic Council have turned around and said, this was quite a statement, I remember it very well at the end of March. The potential for the timeline has changed. There is now the ascension of this world now lies in the hands of the souls who are instigating it, who are actively part of this wake up, this illumination, this wildfire of higher consciousness that's going out around the planet. And instead of it being a given, which I've always thought that it was, I've always thought that regardless of what occurs, regardless of the say-sos of the world, that we were guaranteed an ascension, like guaranteed it, like absolutely. And that was the information that I'd been given. But more recently, Merlin has turned around and said, well, in actual fact, there has been the free will has played more of a part in this process than anything else. The presence of free will, both a gift and a curse in many ways. The ability to make your own decisions, whether they're informed or whether they're uninformed, and therefore completely change the outcome of whatever it is that you're doing and the timeline that you exist on. And so much free will has been brought into the situations that we are dealing with that the outcome couldn't be predicted, or the desired outcome didn't quite pan out the way that they thought it would. And I've spoken previously about free will. I find it funny to reflect on this, particularly in live events. It's like, have we thought about what we are actually giving up as we race from 3D to 5D, as we literally can't get away from it fast enough? And I know, because I've been one of them. And I first put this across to a group in Finland that I was teaching in 2018. It was quite funny, I remember it well. I said to this large class of beautiful souls, do you realise that when you have actually become fifth dimensional, that you will have willingly given up your free will as you know it, and on a 3D level? And the reaction was raucous. Have you ever tried telling Finns that they're giving up their freedom? It's I knew the buttons that I'd be pressing, and I wasn't disappointed. So the ensuing furore about this was like, well, you know, like, I'm not giving up my free will. This is my divine right. I have free will. I've been born with free will. And I then kind of like weaved into the conversation the higher perspective, because free will, as we know it, as we were born with it, is a third dimensional construct, allowing us the freedom of movement within the boundaries of our learning, our school. And it's been the biggest teacher, because you come down here with no memory of who you are. You know, you've got the 7 veils of amnesia over your third eye. You start off as a helpless infant, having pre-made your choices about the people that were going to be caring for you in your primary socialisation. And then you begin your pathway of growth. And at some point you will have agreed on a soul level to wake up. And that would obviously have happened to you, otherwise you wouldn't be sat here listening to me. And so, because of polarity, because of the nature of the light and the dark of the realm that we live in, because of the third dimensional experience, and then also because of the facets of karma that are brought in to coincide with the choices that we make with this free will, you have the most perfect learning school, and it's served us so well. Now, when you make these choices from either ego or heart at a third dimensional frequency, this is therefore the lesson. You know, do I choose to do good? Do I choose to do the wrong thing? Do I care? You know, like, do I care about the outcome of my actions enough for me to actually rethink them if they are wrong? And so the ball continues to roll in that general direction. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, when we are predominantly fifth dimensional, when we are all functioning from a heart-centered frequency, we will not be functioning from that same level of free will. We will be thinking from the heart. The options for doing the wrong thing, for doing bad, to make a selfish decision rather than a heart-centered collective one, won't even enter our consciousness. And we've actually moved so far away from that already, and we haven't even realized that we've done it. And this is what I find so fascinating about this process, is the fact that we have willingly moved into service as opposed to the serving of the self, the selfish decisions that do impact other people, that do create ripples of unhappiness or karma drama or anything else that occurs around us. So when we are a fifth dimensional planet, when we're all functioning from the heart, when we're all walking the shining pathway of our mighty I Am presence, we will of course still have the option to take whatever road we want, but we won't even think about it. We will simply be functioning from the heart center. So the decisions that have been made for others, the animals, the trees, the plants, the planet, they will be much higher decisions. They will be decisions that are made for the good and the betterment of everything around us, exactly as the Atlanteans were trying to achieve for their 1,500 years during the Golden Era. So if you look at it from the perspective that I was offering the Finns, we are willingly giving up our free will to think or have the option of making bad decisions or wrong decisions or generating negative karma for ourselves. We won't even think like that. And the more we function like this, the more we grow into this heart space, the more ridiculous the world, or the old world, the matrix, the clown show, the carnival, begins to look to us. And so now we are entering another 6 months where we are really feeling and seeing and witnessing this polarity shadow. It's becoming really quite uncomfortable for many of us because we can see it so clearly. Like I've said many times before, this has always existed. It's always been there. It's always been hidden under mist and shadow, under the illusion, under honeyed words of the politicians that flow forth telling you something that's absolutely fine, don't worry about it, trust us. And in actual fact, that's not the case at all, but we know this. So instead of actually hiding behind this veil of sweetness and sugary nonsense that we had previously, we're now getting the panicked rules, regulations, autocracy, or whatever it is. I can't remember what the technocratic behaviour that's trying to basically seal us all into like a state of continual triggered subservience. And of course, many of us just going, not for me, thank you, and we're walking away from it. And that's what we need to be doing. We need to be unplugging. When we begun to unplug from the matrix in 2020 en masse, that's when the panic button was hit, because all of a sudden we've got a system that used to be powered by our focus and our attention just withering up like an old party balloon, and now it's getting very small. So the keepers are doing everything within their power to get your attention, my attention, everybody else's attention, keep us like absolutely fired up with cortisol in fight, flight, freeze or fawn mode. And being aware of this highlights even how far down that road that we've gone, that many of us have really got to take so much care of ourselves, be so aware of that inner child, our nervous system, because the world around us looks so starkly different to the way that it did when we first woke up. And so with all of this new and added responsibility, with the kind of the dissolution, the willing handing over of the way that we regarded free will previously, and the movement forwards, I think it's going to be a beautiful 6 months from here to the next solstice window. You know, here I am talking, and it's summer solstice in England, winter in the southern hemisphere, and I'm already looking to the next period of time because I know how fast things move. I feel how quickly we've just traversed this illusion of time, and the days and the months and the minutes and the hours, they just whip by as we are focused upon what we are doing, what we are creating, what we are receiving. I think most importantly, what we need to be collectively looking at is creating our own system, an alternative system, one that functions alongside and, for want of a better word, hijacks what we need and discards what we don't need. You know, our own system filled with heart-centered people that just renders the other one completely obsolete because we're not paying it any attention anymore. That's where we are. We're at the practical, magical building phase of what we need to be doing. So the skilled people, the people with leadership qualities, the teachers, the speakers, the healers, the lovers, the earth workers, those that are connected to the galactics, we're all beginning to step forwards now, and we've all got this beautiful level playing field that we come carrying our gifts in the palms of our hands and our open hearts now, and we simply are required to come together. We're required to come together to work out how we can use these for the benefit of ourselves and this beautiful planet around us, with the added burden of responsibility upon our shoulders. So, as in the words of Merlin, we are required to work for what we wish to receive and perceive. It's not going to be given to us. Okay, we have the capacity to very easily just switch that ascension button on, walk through this process and this doorway, but we need to be aware of our responsibility and the piece of the puzzle that we hold for that. So with that, wishing you all so much love and a beautiful, beautiful solstice day today. For those of you who want to join me tomorrow night for Sunday night Ascension Club, I am going to be working with illness in the spiritual pathway. So that's something that's come up many times. How light affects us, how it works with our bodies and fields, why we get poorly and drop density, and it's going to be a bit of a real conversation, so come and join me for that. And the details to sign up, if you haven't already, will be underneath this video. Love you lots. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.